lucky to present you Dr. Paolo Castelli. He works in Bracco and he will show us a new challenge that Bracco is facing and how the marketing at the strategic level has coped with this new, very challenging and very interesting project that they are following. So please, Dr. Castelli, whenever you want, we can start.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Pellegrini. Good morning. Really, also thank you for this opportunity. Really, I wanted to touch on three things in the next few minutes. Give you a kind of a background information about what Bracco is and what we do in order to better understand then the following part, which is a little bit focused on how marketing works at Bracco, especially strategic marketing. How do we operate? Which are our processes? And then give you an example of strategic diversification that we just embarked very recently. So Bracco, the Bracco Group, and we are talking mainly now Bracco Imaging. So to Bracco Group is Bracco Imaging, which is a global leader provider of solutions, so product and solutions to address radiology. So CT, so computed tomography, MRI. We sell pharmaceuticals and medical devices to implement contrast enhanced procedures in those imaging modalities. We did recently acquire Blue Earth Diagnostics, which is specialized in nuclear medicine for prostate cancer, which is based in Oxford, UK, and in US. Our parent company, Assist, based in Minneapolis, is responsible for the development of our solutions for medical devices and informatics for both cardiology and radiology. And we do also own a network of diagnostic centers, mainly in northern Italy, which makes the company pretty unique in this sense, because we are the only company in this field which cover all the steps, all the value chain of our products. So we have R&D, research and development, which discovers and develop our solutions, and we have a number of hospitals where we can actually test real life our products and our solutions, which makes it unique with respect to other competitors we have, like Bayer, General Electric, or Gerbe. Now, total turnover of the company, 1.5 billion. These are the data from consolidated 2019. As you can see here, majority comes from Bracco Imaging, which is the company specialized in diagnostic imaging, which are present pretty much in more than, say, 100 countries in the world. We do have direct presence in many European markets, with the exclusion of Spain and Russia. We have a direct presence in the US and Canada, in Latin America, in Brazil and Mexico, and in Asia, in South Korea, in China, while in Japan, we operate through a joint venture with the pharmaceutical company Eisai. There are a number of production plants for the active ingredients of our products and the finished goods, which are located in northern Italy, Switzerland, and in Germany. And also we have R&D centers pretty much in all major geographies, in Asia, based in Beijing, in Italy, in Switzerland, and in the US. Now, portfolio, very simple. What we do? So we first sell imaging agents, so injectable contrast media, which are aimed at enhancing or visualizing lesions in the organs during computed tomography, MRI, contrast ultrasound, nuclear medicine. We do have a portfolio of devices, which are mainly injectors that inject the contrast media during the procedure, a number of disposables, so basically plastics to implement the procedure. And we have a small portfolio of informatics solution which connects our injectors through the, let's say, archive system in the hospital, and they are able to operate automatically the injectors. And with I don't know if you want to add question on the way, or go on. We leave it at the end if there is any clarification or any points at this point. But this is really, I wanted to give you a short background information about who is Bracco and what we do. If there are no questions,
I think that you can continue, and if there are questions, they raise their hands, and if you do not see, we will ask you to interrupt and to make this possibility to students to ask questions, and however they can do at the end. So you can go on, and if there are questions,
okay.
I will show you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's look at now how we operate as a global marketing. Okay, so first of all, there are some expectations from the company on the global market. Global marketing is a kind of a central role here, and certainly the expectation that we develop the strategy on the medium to long term for what we call modality. Modality means the group of products that are used for CT tomography, MRI, and so on. So the brands. So first important task for us is to have a solid, comprehensive strategy in place for our key product areas, our customer groups, and as a company as a whole. Of course, we don't do only strategy, but we also operate, can coordinate a cross-functional group to really bring strategy to execution. And so we implement the necessary plans and operating mechanisms so the strategy becomes then effective in front of the customers. And also we have a role in looking at innovation and see what is the adjacency of our portfolio and how some of the adjacency can be brought into the portfolio and can become a rich offer to our customers. So the key responsibility is strategic plan and brand plan, manage this integrated marketing process with key function in the company and the markets and the geographies, then provide as a subject matter expert input to research and development, corporate development for innovation in the portfolio, innovation that can be brought from outside or can be developed inside, and then make sure that we also do some activity more, let's say, downstream in communication for company equity and branding. Now, it's really a stepwise approach. We start from the higher level, so the strategy formulation. This is at the company level. Now, we define the mission and the vision of the company, and which are the main strategic directions. Then we develop the brand planning. So we translate the aspirations of Bracco for the next, let's say, 5 years, usually is now our time horizon, 5-10 years. We translate into plans, meaning the strategy for each product and each modality, and the roadmap of initiatives and projects that are supporting the strategic objective. And then we have a more downstream activity on the operational planning, meaning that we translate our strategic direction and our key initiatives into, let's say, operational activities, which usually have a lifespan of 1 to 3 years, which are into the local plans. Basically, each geography will take the strategy, will take the roadmap, and implement their local execution plan. At the end, we have 3 main chapters in our strategy plan. First, of course, we start from the company vision and the company mission. Then we have a section on proposed direction for innovation, where, as I mentioned earlier, we look at the adjacency analysis, we understand the potential opportunities that can enrich our current offer, and we do a sort of priority and analysis to see whether those are eligible for further evaluation or we need to abandon them, for instance. And then the core portfolio plan that starts with within the aspiration of Bracco. If I'm selling my medical devices, I will state the results I want to reach in 5-year time, the market share I want to reach, how I want to bring the value proposition to my customer. So all the aspects of a modality aspiration translates into some strategic imperatives and the call to action, meaning the roadmap of initiatives that are supporting my modality aspiration. The process is a busy slide. I apologize, but I'll try to simplify. We start from the customer. Okay, it's the customer, voice of the customers first, meaning that through advisory board, through one-to-one interaction, during congresses or expert panel meetings, and through our local affiliates and our local experts, we first collect the voice of the customer. Then, and it's certainly not only that, is also competitive environment, market trend, but definitely customer is at the center of our thoughts. Then through a brand committee, which is a multifunctional leadership committee, we define the strategic direction for the modality for the brand. Global marketing is responsible for the definition of this strategic direction with a time horizon of 3 to 5 years. Then there is a point where we start our cross-functional processes. So we interact with the global sales organization, with the global medical and regulatory, with the engineering for the medical devices with the research and development to really provide the input for initiatives and projects to be included into the modality roadmap. Then during this plan development time, we assess those initiatives from a qualitative and quantitative standpoint. So major investments that require operating expenses or even investments in the infrastructure always require a business case. And so return on investment. So we look at those, we prioritize those initiatives based on the attractiveness for our final results, and we bring them into a committee where our CEO sits, our CFO, our head of R&D, our head of medical, for approval. Once those initiatives have a goal, they go into the implementation phase with the help of project management. We work again cross-functionally with all the other functions that contributed to the development of those initiatives, and then we start with the execution phase. Of course, some function will be more involved than others. So if my objective is strengthen our offering in the injectors, and I need to develop further functionalities of my medical device, I will certainly resource from engineering and from regulatory and quality on our assist company to make sure that they have in their hands the project and that they secure its execution. And then it goes to the market, and of course, expectations that were defined when we assess the projects need to be met when we launch the project to the market. So the business case, of course, is the basis for calculating our return on investment. Operationally, throughout the year, we are in this time period now. So we are holding a number of workshops to really define or refine the strategic directions that we identified the year before. And this is the first step we do. Second is the brand plan development. So ideation of new initiatives, assessment, business case, and approval. Then we have a long, say, 5-year plan, strategic plan process that starts in May. So basically, by this time of the year, all the markets will receive the brand plans, and they will elaborate their expectation, their future, their future budgets based on what will be the content of the different brand plans. So if the brand plan for the CT modality will include a number of new launches, clinical indication to add to the existing product, they will have an impact which will be reflected in our 5-year plan. And then all the activities and all the projects that are approved during the say March-April timeframe and have to start the next year will also enter into the budgeting exercise of the year, which usually starts in September and ends in December. So sequentially, this is we certainly, as a global marketing and corporate development, we own the first part of this process, and then other functions will contribute throughout the year up to the point where finance will be our, say, gatekeeper for the budget for the following year. With this is the last point on how, kind of a brief overview how marketing and strategic marketing works at Bracco and our role and responsibility within the company. I move forward.
Yeah, yes, please.
Okay. Now I want to give an example of how we address an opportunity for strategic diversification. Recap. So we said Bracco is a kind of a world-leading company in diagnostic imaging. We are focused on diagnosis, intervention, healthcare services, with an offering of product and solutions which address all the diagnostic imaging modalities. So our contrast media, our injectors are helping our customer, our radiologists, cardiologists, to perform effective computed tomography, interventional cardiology exams, nuclear medicine exams, magnetic resonance exam, and so on. But so fairly strong position, and if you look at the head, we want to really build on this position and make sure that we are abreast with the technology development, and also we anticipate some potential big trends with disruptive potential. And certainly software in general, let's say informatics, artificial intelligence, are well-known drivers for innovation in healthcare. So through an analysis that was performed with a steering committee was established within the company, a multifunctional steering committee, we look at kind of a stepwise approach to see whether there is an interesting opportunity also for a company like Bracco, basically a pharmaceutical company. We also sell medical device, but our roots are really in the chemistry and pharmaceutical, can embrace artificial intelligence and can develop cutting-edge solutions to address unmet need of our customer base, which are mainly resides in operational efficiency, diagnostic performance, patient safety. The artificial intelligence trend has been certainly accelerated after COVID. So while the hospitals need to catch up patients that were not diagnosed due to COVID patients in the hospital, certainly calls for, let's say, what we call faster, cheaper, and better, looking for ways to streamline the presence of a patient in the hospital. So shorten the patient in the hospital, less exposure to radiation dose when it comes to computed tomography or X-ray, and the say physician more find help in diagnosis, making faster diagnosis of potential disease. So I took this as an example. Of course, we didn't look only at this report from CB Insights, but just an illustration of the first step that we did for certainly looking at the market potential and the trends in the market. Then we ask some fundamental questions to ourselves. And certainly 3 questions. The first is, so what are the customer needs? What's the customer need and our capability to serve? So first we need to identify what the customers are really looking for, and also cross-reference this need with an ability or legitimacy of a company like Bracco to really play in that field. So there are questions that are very clinical, like needed to improve the quality of an image coming out from computed tomography, or simplify the interpretation of the clinical cases. So make a reading of the images faster, oppure optimize the resources, meaning make it be more efficient, use less contrast media, use less medical devices, so save cost. So those are examples of potential areas. Then the next question is, which role informatics shall play within our portfolio? So is it a full integration with our portfolio, or is an opportunity to diversify and address different customer targets? And then, of course, also looking at how we can differentiate our offer vis-a-vis competition. So are we focusing on artificial intelligence solutions applied to computed tomography or MRI, or both of them? So those are the thought process we went through when we identify that informatics / artificial intelligence was an area to digital health more in general, was an area of interest for the company. Then we move to, this is basically a number of key critical questions from how appropriate is a diagnostic exam on how I optimize resources, which address both clinical needs and also non-clinical needs. Because I have to remember that our base customer are the users, radiologists, technologists, cardiologists. But our buyers are administrators, insurance companies, pharmacists in the hospital. So when we look at the key question, we look at the question that a clinician can ask. So how do I differentiate a benign lesion from a malignant lesion, a tumor from a cyst, for instance? How do optimize the scanner, so the computed tomography scanner, to get the best out of the image, how to interpret those images? But there are also some questions like how I save time, I can be more efficient, how can image process more patient a day, meaning more revenues potentially for the hospital. So we went through this, and we plug basically all the potential solution into the innovation ambition matrix, which start from our core, go into the adjacency and transformation. So we said, okay, we do have a core of informatics solution because we do sell already softwares to manage the contrast procedure. So the first point of attention for us is where we put, let's say, 70% of our resources should be in enhancing the value proposition of our existing solutions. But then we said, okay, but this, okay, this can be done. But then if you look at more adjacency, well, we do have contrast media. How about adding an AI, an artificial intelligence solution, a digital solution to improve their performance? And this is not in our core because we never develop a software for enhancing the value of contrast media. So this will become an adjacency, and probably 20% of our attention should be there. And then also looking at how transformational we could be. In perspective, you can think that digital health informatics can potentially mimic an image without contrast, like if we had contrast. And so this is actually another area, the biomarkers, radiomics. So everything that goes into something that is not attached to our portfolio and address potential different needs. Within what we also thought that we wanted to stay within the perimeter of our target customer, mainly the radiologists, the pharmacists, the administrators, the nuclear medicine expert, and so on. Now, this is the next step. Mention how we should our offer should be placed vis-a-vis competition, and this is another important aspect. Of course, the slide is pretty busy. Don't expect to read inside and put some gray, but conceptually, we are a pharmaceutical company. We know very well who are our traditional competitors. So Bayer, General Electrics, Gerbe, those are the contrast media and injector manufacturers, and we play in the same market segment. But when it comes to informatics, there are other players that we should consider, who like Siemens, Philips, those that are producing the scanners for CT and MRI, for instance, but also IT and tech giants, talking about Microsoft, Google, and there are some software vendors that can be a competitor, but at the same time can be our partner. They say software house that are able to develop solutions that we can then bring lately to the market. They do own, let's say, the technical expertise. We do own the customer base. Being very strong in diagnostic imaging and in radiology specifically, with a significant share in many main geographies, we have a strong customer base. That certainly is a door opener to bring informatics solution into play. And so also this is important to see whether there is a space for a company like Bracco to play. Certainly we don't want to go against the IT giants, which have more expertise and are definitely already covering some area, but there are some sweet spots for us where we have the legitimacy and the authority to play, and especially in the area of contrast media administration, exam execution, so CT exam execution, interpretation of the images, and so on. Then we look at analyze, and this was sourced by best practices, identified like 6, let's say, success factor, which are elements, success elements for a successful deployment of a digital solution. Well, the first, selling software is not like selling pharmaceutical. You don't sell a bottle of antibiotics or a bottle of contrast agent. It's easy to assign a price to a physical product. For the software, we really sell the value. So the first most important thing is that understand a customer and a met customer need, and also make sure that the solution that you want to bring is really solving a problem that is worth solving. So if an hospital is in a need to improve patient throughput throughout the day, instead of doing 10 patients a day for CT, doing 20, then of course this needs to be tangible problem for the hospital and needs to be measurable. So there is a way that the solution implemented will measure an effective results. The other important point is the cross expertise of the development team. So in the complexity for the informatics solution is that we don't only need good software developers, but we also need the data scientists. We need healthcare IT experts to understand how well a solution can integrate into the hospital ecosystem, and also clinicians, because if we talk about if you think about an AI solution to be attached to contrast media, certainly there is an expert in medical needs that knows and directs the research towards the final goal. One of the most critical points for the development of an AI solution is the availability of data and the quality of the data. Artificial intelligence solutions are required to be trained in order to perform. So they need to be trained with sample images, for instance. So accessibility to the data is certainly one of the most important points for privacy issues, for ownership of the health, say, hospitals, not willing to share patient data. So, but certainly, really is one of the most critical point. Interoperability with existing hospital information system. This becomes important because it needs to be fully integrate into the IT system of the hospital. Should not require additional hardware, additional software. Integration into the clinical workflow. Many customers are telling us, if you sell me a software which requires me to do an additional click on a computer, I won't buy it, because they need to be fully integrated into the clinical workflow. Should provide a true advantage. So should we integrate it either in an existing server or in an existing CT machine or in an injector, but it needs to be fully integrated. And the other point is the commercial availability, which has some complexity. Selling a pharmaceutical is talking to our end user, the radiologist, and convincing the pharmacy to adopt the pharmaceutical product. When we talk about software, well, there are many other interlocutors in the hospital. Certainly the end user, the radiologists, the administrators are important, but then the biomedical engineering to see whether the software integrates into the system. The IT expert of the hospital to ensure that entering into the network, the VPN of the hospital does not interfere with the existing infrastructure. So there are a number of actors which require a variety of expertise in order to bring the solution to the market. The other important point that we look at collectively, we said, okay, let's be very objective in order to avoid personal opinion on this product works, the other don't, and so on. Let's really set up a sort of very objective criteria to evaluate a potential opportunity in AI. And certainly some questions are really gate, go, no go. Let's say, is the solution addressing a critical question, yes or no? If it is no, it doesn't go further. Is there a strategic coherence with the company strategy? Well, yes or no, basically. If it's no, it doesn't go. Then it starts an assessment of criteria. So we set up a number of criteria and key questions. We assign a weight to each of those questions to objectively evaluate how feasible is to bring this solution to the market. What is the quality of the algorithm that is beneath the solution? Which are the revenue potentials? Are in line with our expectation, and also which is the go-to-market, let's say, requirement, investment to bring the solution to the market, knowing that we need to think market access, we need to health technology argumentations to show the value of the solution to the market. Now, illustrative example, this is actually a real case, and this is the resulting frame of assessing how the solution we compare actually 3 different projects. We basically assign at the end a final score to be able to select which one, according to the criteria that we identified, is worth to bring further to the market. The other important step we did for a company like ours was very important. We did an assessment of our, let's say, capability and gap inside the company, both in terms of how good are we in developing a product, an informatic product, and how good are we in bringing it to the market. And definitely we identify some of the gaps that we are now certainly filling those gaps, but we understood, for instance, that geographically we are very strong in the US, but maybe Europe and China, we will need to bring knowledge and expertise to be able to deliver those solutions to the markets. Finally, is a demand estimate, so a business case that starts from the target market segment. It needs to be very well identified. Definition of how long it will take to bring the solution to the market, which will be our position in the market at the moment. So what kind of expected result quantitatively, volume and value, we expect to to get from bringing this solution to the market. And then, of course, the bottom line, meaning cost, both the capital expenditure, if they are needed, or operating expenses, and how long those will be applied throughout the project. What will be the advertising and promotional investment and the sales cost, and then quantification of the gross margin, meaning the net sales minus the cost of goods that we sell, and the terminal value, the net present value of. So if everything determines a positive outcome, and also actually we weight also all this with a certain % of risk according to the different phases of the product development. So at the end, if the business case turns out to be positive, it goes into the implementation phase. And this is really my last slide. This is actually a real example, a project that we just completed very recently. So we start with the 3 different streams of work. So the first, technical assessment. So we had our R&D mainly to look into how good the solution is from a technical perspective. We did as a global marketing in conjunction with R&D some markets and user research. So we try to understand how this solution is implementable, how attractive for our customer, what will be the potential impact on the market. And then the third point is that which kind of platform we can use or we can partner with to successfully deploy the solution to the hospital. Usually there are some already existing platform which contains informatics solution and the hospital takes from there. So probably partnering with one of them will help us to deliver successful implementation of the solution in the hospital. And now pretty complex.
Okay.
Try to simplify.
Thank you very much, Dr. Castelli. So, are there questions, students? Do you have?
You can stop sharing, probably.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. It's up to you if you think that you need to answer or it's not necessary. So, please, have you got questions?
Not able to answer. Yes, like this.
So I start, probably then someone else will. Okay, so please, Valentina, you were interested.
I do have a question. First of all, thank you so much for your presentation. You insisted on a crucial point, on the crucial point of data availability. And my question is, from the point of view, from the perspective of a actor like your company, like Bracco, it would be useful, it would be required a regulation aiming at ensuring a framework of data, health data, conceived as a kind of public infrastructure. I don't know. No?
Yes.
Imagine that all the data be gathered and made available without the possibility to restrict the accessibility on the basis of ownership right. This would be consistent with an advanced development of products.
Absolutely, yes. This will be absolutely needed, kind of a standardized approach and a simplified approach to have access to anonymized data, because the really not a really privacy issue, but there are some instances, some example like the NIH in the US and I think some of the Erasmus Institute in Rotterdam, that they are making available some set of data to train artificial intelligence software with them. But definitely data is also a value. You know how valuable is the data for Amazon. So,
I was thinking exactly to this problem. The problem of private property, let's call it, on private ownership on data is a serious obstacle to the development of artificial digital health systems.
Yes, because not only a matter of having like 10, 20 cases. Here we are talking about millions. The more you have, the better is the algorithm. So there are some closed systems that do not require continuous learning, but they have some limitation. So the potential of AI is really to continue understanding and learning as the software see.
This approach would also bring with itself the other huge problem of data interoperability, so to say. I don't know, because you need, of course, a uniform record. And
yes, exactly. And so to many instances today, a diagnosis is done with different terminology. Yes. So there is some coded terminology in the pharmaceutical industry, like pharmacovigilance. There are some specific terminology to describe a certain adverse reaction or certain adverse event. But in general terms, you can find a variety of situations. You can find a digital file, but you can find also a handwritten document. Maybe we're saying the same things with different terminology. But this is an area, I'm not really an expert in this part, but our lawyers here in the company and our R&D are really actively looking into this, because we established recently an R&D, within our R&D, digital health unit. And so, of course, for the success of our solutions, we need to find a way to simplify the accessibility to the data and have more resources to train the software.
And this would develop this goal, would it be better achieved, in your opinion, by public regulation or private transactions agreements?
No, honestly,
governments or markets. This is the question.
There are also solutions, so we call federated data, where you actually are able to access the data without bringing them outside the institution. And this is another area we are looking at with some of our innovation experts to see whether there are ways to really access without any limitation, let's say.
I was wondering, you said that within your R&D department, you constituted a sub-unit regarding digital innovation, healthcare innovation, and I was wondering if somehow it reduced the need to open up your innovation funnel to other actors, because you said at the beginning that you have some gaps in the knowledge because you are opening up to new matters from your core knowledge. And so in what way this subunit in the R&D somehow reducing the need to open your innovation?
I think this is very complementary actually to our innovation, and certainly we basically invest almost 10% of our turnover in R&D, mainly in the pharmaceutical and medical device developments. So there is an active work on discovering new drugs and bringing them further to the market. We felt the need to see how digital, how informatics can really drive the innovation in all the sectors, including healthcare, that we really need to establish a competence in the company. First, to really understand the mechanism, because a software can affect or impact the effect of a contrast agent. So we need to, and so this requires a continuous updating of our protocols and how we inject the contrast and the doses, the volumes, the injection rate, and so on. So there is a need to better understand the phenomenon, and at the same time, why not see whether within the perimeter that we identified of interest for us and legitimacy for Bracco, even start with our internal development of these solutions, as we, similarly to what we have done for many years on the pharmaceutical and the medical device, also to see whether this can become, because it's a future, it's really a learning experience, but at the same time, we see more as for us, it's more as an opportunity to even strengthen more our presence in the market and provide the customer with an enriched value proposition. And probably also in the trajectory of moving from a company that sells products to a company that sells solutions. And informatics is an integral part, is a key component. Excellent product, but also okay. So.
And did you also, so from the technical part, you did this and the R&D, and from the legal part, did you enroll the services of new lawyers, new people, or not? No. Okay.
No, we do have the expertise for medical device at large and informatics within our parent company. We have a regulatory, quality, and legal counseling from that side. But we already sell some softwares, and we sell a large number of injectors. So we are, we have a certain experience with the regulations.
Okay, so you didn't need to hire someone else, so no, you had the competence inside from the legal point of view.
No, more the barrier probably comes more from a regulatory perspective, how the FDA and EMA are seeing these solutions, especially those that are based on artificial intelligence algorithms, because they continue to learn. So when you can identify, okay, this is a product that can be approved. So how long does it take? And this is the most important part. For that, I think there are a number of initiatives that definitely still a long way to go to simplify the approval process of informatics solutions, especially those that are affecting the patient or the operator. I mean, clinical decision support, okay, but then when it comes to software that automatically operates an injector without the help of a human being, then in that case, the requirements are definitely much higher, of course, as it should be, of course. It's not only saying this does what it does, did what stated to do, but also make sure that there is no damage to the end user, namely the patient in the first place.
Yeah. Very interesting, absolutely, because you are at the frontier, so it's very interesting to know.
Very exciting.
So, very exciting from different point of view.
From a marketing perspective, very exciting.
Yeah, but you touch,
definitely.
Yeah, you speak about many things that are interrelated. So from a legal point of view, technological point of view, marketing. This is exactly what we aim at doing in this school. So you touched all the problems. So very interesting. Also from this point of view.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you very much. Pleasure.
Yeah, also for us, absolutely.
And some of the question. Valentina had on the legal part and so on. If you are interested, there are resources in the company that can be, reach out to better understand how we face those challenges as we move along. So
yeah, I'm very much interested in that, especially because I am trying to start some PhD research programs also on this issue. So yeah, I would be very grateful.
Okay.
Indeed.
A new marriage is born.
Probably there are some software companies that have really dedicated resources to that, but we are facing from our point of view, and so
of course,
and there's a new problem, the new problem that we are addressing. So
No, because sometimes it is difficult to spot exactly the precise questions, the relevant questions. If you don't talk with the stakeholders, it is. Everything remains rather vague and abstract.
Yes.
And
yes.
As we say, you investigate the sex of angels, and it doesn't.
Exactly.
It's not useful.
No, real world is different.
and you know, lawyers have a kind of.
They like investigating the sex of angels.
My wife is a lawyer, so I know what you're talking about.
But also, so Valentina, so she I don't know, but
if I may, can I write you an email the next days, so we can.
Yes, absolutely.
You have to pay for having the email address.
Okay.
Okay.
So thank you, really. Thank you so much. This is exactly what we had in mind, not only for the school, but for the more general project of this program. This winter school is within the frame of a European EU-funded program, which is called the European Health Law and Technology. And yes, next year we shall conclude the whole thing with a conference, and we will be very honored if you can join.
Thank you very much.
If you can join us.
In Italy, we say we take a finger, then we are to the hand, and do the whole body. So you are completely absorbed.
But Dr. Castelli is Italian.
Okay, so I know very well.
You are completely ruined.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
So
thank you for the opportunity. It has been really a pleasure, and yes, absolutely. Let's keep in touch for additional clarification.
Absolutely. Okay. We will call, don't tell too much, because otherwise, you know, from the finger we are at the end, but then the arm, it's next.
And the head.
And this is a threat.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Paolo Castelli. So your presentation has been very much appreciated, as also the coordinator, Professor Calderai, said to you. And so thank you once again. And Valentina, we can have breakfast lunch.
Yeah, exactly. And see you on 30 past 2. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you again.
The rest of the day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Dr. Castelli.